After 2 nights in Dublin, we then went down to County Wicklow, where we visited Josie Cooper and her daughters Jerry on the left and Mary. Josie and Jerry gave us a quick tour around Wicklow, showing us the old family homestead and the church and graveyard where many of the ancestors are buried. And then we came back to a wonderful lunch that Mary had prepared for us. Shrine there.
Yeah.
Now prepare for your ears to pop.
Oh, yeah. Is this how they had to come up and down?
Come up and down this way.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is called the Priest's Hill, Green Anne. Because the priest's house used to be here, but he doesn't reside out here anymore. I used to come up here on a bike to visit Uncle Pat.
So you would actually ride your bike up to all the way up? Oh my goodness.
Fun
Not
going
there
down.
yet.
One going down.
I remember going down that hill that we just came up, and I had clogs on me and I wore the bottom off them, trying to use them as a brake as well as the brakes on the bike.
Oh yeah. I wonder what my mother first thought when she came up the hill.
Yes.
Way back then. Because they probably didn't have cars, I'm sure.
No.
No.
I don't think the Dohertys ever had a car because they used to hire a taxi then to take
To
them.
hire a taxi.
What were those bushes called again? I forgot already.
They're called gorse, but they're also called furze bushes here. The farmers would all call them furze bushes. The dreaded furze bush because they grow everywhere.
Walking up to the gate at the house here now. Can you tell me again whose house this was?
My grandfather's lived here.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Our grandfather,
Grandfather
Doherty.
Thomas Doherty.
Yeah.
And Sarah lived here.
Yes. And that's her brother Pat. I was talking about the Uncle Pat.
Uncle Pat lived here.
When he got, yes, and Jim.
And Jim.
And Aunt Rose.
And Aunt Rose.
They all came
lived
from here. And your granddad.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you came up here often then?
Oh yes, when Uncle Pat and Jim were here on their own, we used to come up because we felt they were so isolated to make sure that they were, you know, that they, nice view they had, hadn't they?
All beautiful.
Gorgeous.
They had a beautiful view.
So it came over to here originally.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'd
this
say that
was
was the end of the house. And as far, you know, where the two windows are together.
They had to be pretty self-sufficient, didn't
Oh, but they were.
they? Yeah.
And they were so interesting.
Oh.
They were lovely people, you know, so knowledgeable.
It's amazing.
Wise. They were
Very,
wise.
very
Yeah,
wise.
very wise.
And they were very highly respected around here, the Dohertys.
You see the front of the house? The new addition.
Thank you.
In fact, I think it would be your great-grandmother. They were very well thought of people because they allowed her to be buried in the grounds of the church. And like Uncle Pat, when he lived with us, Mother would have to bath him on a Saturday night and get all his clothes laid out for him.
Everything would be ready.
He'd have his boots polished up to the last, and, you know, his Sunday clothes out, and he'd leave before we'd be out of bed on a Sunday morning to get to church, you know.
Oh my goodness.
St. Columba's
Yeah.
Roman
And
Catholic
only
Church.
that time,
Because that's where they all were baptised and everything, you know.
So that's your great-grandmother?
Yeah. Died in 1925.
January is that it says.
Yeah, the 19th of January.
Is she the only one that's buried there?
Well, perhaps her husband is buried there too, but they
they
haven't
never
his
put her
name
name,
listed
yeah.
on the stone.
Wow, it's still pretty nice. You can see everything.
Yeah, I actually had it
Did you have it cleaned up?
Yeah, last year.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yes, isn't it great you had the name? But the poor old people mustn't have been ever able to get the name put on them. Of the grandfather.
Great-grandfather's name isn't on it, but I don't know if he's definitely buried there or not. But Uncle Pat and Jim and Rose are all buried just across the way in a little cemetery over there.
Yeah. We'll go over to where Bill's buried there too, my husband.
This is St. Columba's Church,
St. Columbus.
Green Anne.
And it's 200 years.
200 this year?
Yes.
Being married. It was the ritual to blow horns outside the houses.
When they knew they were getting married.
You know, just for a bit of crack. And this night my grandfather heard this horn blowing outside the house, so he went out and he said, come on in, Chris. And this voice shouted back, it's not me at all, Tom. What a giveaway.
So where does Mary live in Australia?
She lives in a suburb of Melbourne.
Oh, Melbourne.
Yannar, it's called. It's kind of like the Golden Vale area because her husband has a big dairy herd. And that's all. He's a farmer. And she has 3 daughters.
Oh my.
That's Mary.
Yeah, it was the June bank holiday weekend and I was weeding at my father's grave and the sun was shining my eyes and this woman said, who's that at my godfather's grave? And I stood up and I couldn't see because the sun was so strong. And eventually I looked anyway and it was Mary and she was here with her husband and her 3 girls who were all playing around. And so the children were fascinated anyway at just bumping into, you know, your cousin or whatever. So when I went to Australia then I went as part of a choir. And we were invited out by the Royal Melbourne Philharmonic Choir and Orchestra for St. Patrick's Weekend. I called Mary's home and there was only an answering machine, so I left the message. And when she phoned me back, she said, you won't believe this, but my daughter had asked me 2 days before that on the way home from tennis, hi Mum, tell us about your cousin from the graveyard. And when she went in and the lights blinking on the answering machine and she went in to go to the toilet and the little one came flying in and she says, Mum, it's your cousin from the graveyard.
Oh my goodness.
This is Fred and Jim and Rose.
Yeah, this one here.
And their brother Patrick.
They were all great ages. Do you see that? 92,
Yeah, 88,
92,
92.
and 87.
Wow.
So the hardship, as they call it, didn't kill them.
No,
You
they had a
know?
lot of hardship in their life.
No.
And this is my father's brother Jim, who
Jim
lived in
Cooper
Bray.
in Bray.
And then my father is buried up there.
Very well.
They're both buried here. That's Dan's, and that's Bill.
This is Bill's grave. And look at the stone again, Jen. No lens and she got that tree in.
Somebody told me to put
And look at how antiquated. Look at the little sheds still. Like there's I often wonder.
This is a horse-drawn caravan. People take them for holidays, you know.
And
To do what? They
just
live in it?
they sleep in it and eat in it and everything else.
Caribbean.
There was a street trader, you see, with her own stall, and she was selling crabs. So she shouts out all morning, look at the lovely fresh crabs crawling round the slab. And she's hoarse nearly, and midday comes and she hasn't had many sales. So she saw this very well-dressed lady coming from a very posh area of Dublin, from Foxrock. So she decided to give it one more try. So she called out, look at all the lovely fresh crabs crawling round the slab. And your woman came up to her and she said, pardon me, madam, but are those crabs fresh? She says, what the bloody hell do you think we do with them? Wind them up? Well, my aunt used to get me to tell that every time she came home. And lots of yellow furze bushes everywhere. That's a nice little county, isn't it? It's the Garden of Ireland, Wicklow.
We'll see why.
So we've just driven around. Our house is kind of in the middle of all that area you've covered now.
Look at all that.
Isn't that? And what is
So,
your church?
well, that was again, that's the school where you went. And
Where David Horgan was taught, and all the Horgans, and my father, and several others. It's called St. Patrick's and Killian.
Two of the saints.
Church
associated
and
with the church.
So it's Claravale National School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you'd like to come in for a second, I'll show you. Mary did the flowers last weekend.
Oh boy.
You can tell the sort of flower. You don't mind.
No.
It just means that they can't have their lunch.
Do it in.
So this was the flood.
Yeah.
How it affected the church. When was this?
Only last summer.
Last summer.
The way I'm looking at it now is the best way.
The best way.
And would it be a pressure now?
Sure. Oh, did you? Oh, great. Then this is good. Oh, it looks so good. But maybe after supper, you want to wait till after, but you look right through there. And
Look towards the bright window.
Stay inside, but open the door.
oh, good.
Would you mind if I leave the camera on over here and maybe I'd catch the conversation? And
Oh, God.
her mother might be
Better be
interested.
careful.
County Wicklow, it says Greg. Yeah.
Considering it's 100 years old.
Yeah, it's 100
That's
years old.
marvellous,
Isn't that
it?
something?
To think it's rice and bean salad, and there's coleslaw there, and that's apple and celery, and that's
Yeah, and she
pickled.
has
everything.
roast potato with
No, oh, yeah,
so,
baked.
yeah.
We hope you will come visit us. Stay with us.
Please
Have
God,
plenty-
maybe we will, yeah.
You think so?
Have it at
She's
some-
getting the urge now.
You're getting the
Yeah.
urge?
Have we a cheese strainer there? Yeah, we made that too.
I know. She's such a good cook.
Carrot
Yeah.
cake.
Yeah.
I like dabbling
You like dabbling
And
in
this
it?
is the Swedish bag, but it's keep it cool.
Oh, right. Did we get your picture, Mary?
Oh, no.
Did we? No, did you get?
No, I haven't.
And she's her hair all
No.
pushed up.
Well,
Could we all just get out and get
get
Yeah.
a picture outside.
all the girls?
All the
Wasn't
girls.
that lovely, all the girls?
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Okay.
Not too far apart.
All these lovely Irish lasses.